Hello Booktube, it's Roz and it's very nearly the end of December, so my brain is churning around ideas of what I'm going to read in 2022. I am a terrible planner of my reading. I mean, planning like goals and targets and things I'm going to take part in. But one of the reassuring things about getting involved in Booktube is discovering that lots of people are like that too. I am not as odd as I thought I was. So first up, I'm going to tell you about 3 kind of shared reading things that I'm going to be part of that you might like to join in with. I don't know. The first is I have always wanted to read, but never got around to reading Don Quixote. It's intimidating because it's long and it's old, but I gather it's actually quite fun. And so in order to help me read it, I'm offering up the option of joining me in a group read to start in March, because it's a mammoth and there's March of the Mammoths, but it's 74 chapters and 950 pages, something like that. So we'll spread it over quite a long time. Do it sort of low and slow, with a Voxer group and lots of chat to sort of encourage us along. So let me know if you're interested. Secondly, another long and perhaps more challenging, but I gather brilliant book that I've meant to read for many years is The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. And Colm Toibin's new novel, kind of based around it, has sort of reminded me that how much I want to read that. Happily, Greg of Another Bibliophile Reads also fancies it, and he was up for running a group read or read along of that, and to start in April, and I'm going to co-host it with him. We've planned a schedule to do it over 7 weeks, so it's sort of, because it's a longish book, and that's around 100 pages a book. 100 pages a week, which is not too intimidating for any of us, and we'll have either a Voxer or a Discord group, and I will put more details for that around the schedule down below, so that you can think if you could plan that in to fit that into those 7 weeks of your life. The Don Quixote one will be a little bit more informal, if you know what I mean. Then the third thing I want to mention now is Faulkner in August, because obviously it's a long way off in August, but if you're a planner like me, you might like to kind of just make a note that I'm going to take part in Faulkner in August this year, because it's a riot. It's wonderful. And I'm now a co-host of it, and it's always great. So watch out for announcements and put it in your diary. So, now you will not have failed to notice, I suspect, that all those 3 books are by dead white men, dead white male authors. And Roz, what's come over you? Well, these days I have to make a conscious effort to read things by dead white male authors, or I might not. So it's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. What other Booktube events am I going to do this year? I love the readathons that get me to read different things, and then infiltrate my reading across the whole of the year, like Women in Translation Month and Indigathon. I've had such good things out of that. Caribathon, as well as the biggies, Jane Austen July and Victober and Nonfiction November. I enjoy all of them, and I've planned out which ones are happening each month, so that I can think I'll fit in at least one book each month that relate to those. If you are planning an event like that I might not already have in my calendar, do let me know. Last year, Margaret Pinard did a kind of March of the Moderns, and it snuck up on me so fast that I didn't do enough of it, if you know what I mean. So I'd love to hear if you've got plans that I haven't heard about. Tilly and I have our own little kind of thing like that we do, which is discussing drama, and that's where we read a play every month. We've done it for 2 years now, and we're carrying on into 2022, so that's a definite part of my 2022 plans. We'll read a play each month and make a video together about it, and we've got a couple of people lined up who might like to join us for a particular play and maybe be part of a Zoom chat. And if that's something that you'd fancy, again, put it in comments. And quite often we try and tie them to that whatever sort of readathon or whatever is going on in that particular month. That helps us sort of do like a nice wide range. Now, those things I kind of plan my reading around and select something for. And might sort of, there might be things that I have in mind to read that I'll think, oh, well, I'll do it in that month because that month is Pride Month or Black History Month or whatever. But it's also quite nice to have a randomizer in your reading. And last year, I took part for the first time in the Booktube Prize, and that is a magic as a randomizer because it makes you read new stuff that you haven't chosen, but is almost is picked as being some of the best stuff of the year, because that's the idea. And so it's a sort of a wild card in my year's planning. If you're watching this before the end of play on the 31st of December, you're still in time to sign up as a judge if you fancy it. But we've got enough judges to run the new group, which is translated fiction, and that's the one I'm going to do, and I'm so excited by that. So I can't plan any of those books. I can't even guess what many of them will be. So, but it's an exciting element of my 2022 reading. What else? Well, one thing that I've done a little bit of this year, which I'd like to do more of in 2022, is reading graphic novels and graphic non-fiction. So I'm setting myself kind of a goal to do graphic monthly. Something every month that's a graphic novel or non-fiction. So I would really appreciate your recommendations for that, because it's not a genre that I know well, and so I've got a few lined up that people have recommended, but I would love to hear some strong recommendations, and I may try and make a graphic monthly video. We'll see, but it feels strange because I'm definitely not an expert. I want to build that. I know from previous years' experience that setting myself something like that with something that I'm not currently reading a lot of really works for me. And in it has with plays. I might read a play every few years, and last year I read 14. I'm hoping that it will work in the same way of getting me to appreciate and by reading something regularly and get sort of settled into the an understanding of what makes a good one, put it that way. I've done that in the past, say with classics, saying, oh, I'll read one classic book each month, and now I don't need to do that anymore because I read lots. I've got a few in mind. I'm going to read Mary Barton soon, I think it's a buddy read with Laura, say Don Quixote and Magic Mountain already planned, and another sort of group of classics that I plan to read is I've got a bit of or backlist. So I've got a bit of a completion thing going on, where you think I want to read everything by that author, and that's unusual for me. Sometimes I'm quite happy to not read everything, just to pick out what I think might be the couple of books that interest me most. But the three authors that I really want to read every novel that they've written are George Eliot, and I thought I'd done it, and then Kim in the middle of the Book March and others pointed out that her first novel sort of was Scenes of Clerical Life, and I thought it was like sort of, I didn't realise it was really sort of long fiction. It's like sort of novellas put together. So I'm actually going to read that this year, and then I'm working my way through the novels of Virginia Woolf, who, I kind of describe Eliot and Woolf and Austen as my three favourite authors, and Austen's the only one where I've read everything. So I'll read a bit more of her juvenilia or her letters this year for sure. But yes, so Virginia Woolf, I've got several novels still to go, and I'm going to do at least a couple more of those. And Clarice Lispector, Brazilian author, 20th century, so backlist rather than sort of classic, I guess. Again, I want to read every novel by her because she mesmerizes me. So if you want to read more by Virginia Woolf or Clarice Lispector, let me know and see if we can, if we fancy a buddy read in there anywhere. That'd be nice. Okay, so what is, now there was a tag going around, which I haven't done because I failed to do any tags for ages because of post-COVID limitations to how much I've been sort of making videos. But there was a question in it about, I think it was philosophy of reading tag, about is it important to be well read? And I although I haven't answered the tag, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, yes, I think so, but my definition of well read for me, the kind of well read that I want to be, is to have really wide ranging reading. And that's why I kind of plan, because that helps make me achieve that. So books from different places, different types of author, different genres. I started this by keeping a tally of how many male and female authors I read, to sort of tip the balance away from men to women, to sort of counterbalance the years and years when I'd read more by men. And now I don't have to think about that. Writers of colour, I've started to sort of make a note of that, and that's, it's now a kind of good maybe third of my reading, and that's probably still not enough, but I don't have to sort of plan so much to consciously read writers who are of a different sort of background to me. But this year I kept a tally for the first time of how many books I read by LGBTQI plus writers, and it was only 17, and that doesn't feel enough. So one of my 2022 targets, as opposed to specific books, but targets, is to read more than 17 books by LGBT authors. And I sometimes you don't know, sometimes particularly older stuff, or people may not choose to put that information in their sort of biography. I don't know, but I think so. Again, I'm looking for sort of I'm going to make a conscious effort, and I shall report back how I get on, and what are my favourites, as it were, and whether it kind of, I feel like I get something different from that. Now, that reading things from around the world is one of my sort of enthusiasms, and I'm happy to report, I think, that I've read things from, 43 authors from 43 different countries this year, and that's okay. I'm quite happy with that. But what I'm not happy with is that only 9 of those were authors from countries that were like new to me. So need to do something about that. Maybe doing the translated fiction part of the Booktube Prize will help with that, but I suspect not, because I've only got 29 countries left to go out of the 195, and I'm getting down to the more obscure ones now. So I probably have to really consciously search, but I'm really going to set myself a firm goal of 12 new countries this year. Okay, and this time next year you can say, did you do it, Roz? Did you make that? So that's a 2022 goal. Another sort of personal challenge, I suppose, is that I did the Mooks and Gripes book tag bucket list sort of tag that Sean did in the autumn, and that was to name 10 books that you really want to read before you run out of time. And having done that, I thought, well, why don't I just get on and read them? So I've already read 3 out of those 10, 7 to go. Don Quixote is one of them, and I'm going to see how many of them I can actually get through this year. So we'll see. I might list them down below, and then again, if anyone fancies sort of joining me on any of them, why not? Another thing I've been started trying to do this year, which I'm definitely going to do more of in 2022, is reading books by other booktubers. And you know, this I've already got one in mind by Margaret Pinard. I've got Britta Boller. I really want to read one or two of Brita's books. I can't believe I haven't yet. So if there are other Booktube sort of, if I've not noticed that Booktubers that I know and follow are also authors, or if you read a book by a sort of a Booktuber who's also an author, let me know, because that's I again, it's a kind of randomizing factor, which is fun, and yeah, a community thing too, I suppose. Anything else? Well, I have my real life book group. And that's another randomizing factor, because that's 12 books that I haven't chosen personally. I mean, we choose them as a group, and sometimes they're awful and sometimes they're brilliant. So, you know, that will happen in 2022. A really fun thing that I'm doing in January and February is a mark of Book Time with Elvis organises little reading challenges linked to football tournaments. How would you say? I mean, international tournaments. So like the European one, people read books from different European countries based on, they got allocated a team and then who that team played and lost to. And he's doing it again with the Africa Cup of Nations in January, February. So I picked Guinea-Bissau. They're definitely going to lose. So I'm going to end up reading a lot of different things from different African countries in January and February as other people beat them. But then it's perhaps too late to join that now. But I bet he will do the same thing for the World Cup 2022 later in the year. So if you fancy that, look out for it. Anything else? That could be all my kind of challenges and plans. That seems like more than enough, doesn't it? Do you feel I've bitten off more than I can chew? We'll see. No, I expect I'll do it. One thing that I know I will do is some buddy reads, and I want to thank everyone who sort of buddy read or did shared reads with me this year. In 2021, it's been such a joy of the year. But in 2022, I'm going to try to not overcommit to those, to only do one, maybe one sort of group read event every couple of months, and maybe one kind of small buddy read with one or two people every couple of months. So that, because one thing I've discovered about myself is that I'm not good at keeping to a schedule or keeping pace with other people. Sometimes I want to read faster or slower, or so take the pressure off is what I've said. But nevertheless, I know that it brings a lot of richness to my reading, so that's part of my 2022 plan too. Have you got some lovely plans for 2022 yourself? I hope you have. Are you a planner, or are you going to say, Ros, this is ridiculous? Just mood read. But it's not me. And I will be back very soon with my top books of 2021.